Greetings, Patrick here, 8 questions with. That's right, our guest is already with us. I asked her to come up a little early so I could, so she could tell me how to say her last name without me massacring it. So Danielle, how do you say your last name?
Sundby.
Sundby?
Sundby.
Okay, because I just absolutely crushed last names. I think it lives in my head. Like half the people that come to these lives, come watch the interview. I think half of them come just so they can hear me, crush names. It's like, how bad can he mess it up today? Hold your beer because it can't get worse.
Give it just a minute.
So I'm glad you're here. You and I met on TikTok, and I said, "Hey, that sounds interesting. A horror editor, dedicated to horror books." So I reached out and I said, "Hey, would you willing to come out and hang out with us and talk a little bit about it?" And you very graciously said yes, and thank you for that.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time because we all love horror here. I'm supposed to be a horror channel. I'm supposed to be. Though, if you watch or listen to the show, that isn't always the case. But it is. But it is today. Hey, Anthony, how are you? And let's see. And you are. Wow, you're up to 2020. Oh, that's gonna be a tough year for you, Anthony. Okay. So yeah, we're going to be talking a little bit about editing and some of our favorite horror books. Yesterday we were talking with Frank, and I cut my teeth as far as getting into fanboyhood, like horror, mystery, and thrillers. I started out as a pulp. I read pulp books first, like the ones that Frank writes, but I soon segued over to horror books. And of course, one of the first authors I ever came across, and it was purely by accident, and that was Stephen King. I really didn't know who he was when it's weird because I got into him, and the very first book I ever bought of Stephen King was The Stand. And the reason I got the book was because it was so big. It was like, and so when you're coming up, when I was growing up, my family didn't have a lot of money, so I was always looking out for the bang. Like what could I get for the flip? So I was always looking for the books that were this big because they would take me longer to read. So I got into Stephen King, and then I got into compilations. That's how I, got to know a lot of really good authors. And it's funny, it's weird. It's like when I was growing up, I read a lot of horror books. It seemed like as I got older, there didn't seem to be that many horror books out there other than Stephen King. I mean, there are a few. But there really isn't, to me. I mean, I could be wrong here. You could tell me. Is horror still a vital genre? I mean, do people still buy it and support it?
I believe so. And along with King, you have Ketchum. Ketchum was another really big one.
Yes.
I think now it has actually expanded because of the plethora of authors that self-publish. So there's more out there. It's easy to to access. Get a Kindle Unlimited subscription, and you're set. In today's age, you can interact with the authors. They're on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. So I think all of that kind of plays into the explosion of it all over again.
I know that movies sometimes will move the needle. Like it seems like every time a Stephen King movie comes out that's well received, all of a sudden there's just a sudden flurry of people looking for Stephen King books. I mean, it's sort of weird. I haven't read one of his books in years. I don't know. I don't want to say I grew out of him. It was like it's more of a case of where it was oversaturated,
Yeah.
and his books all sounded the same to me when I was reading them. Uh, they didn't have that magical or specialness as they did early days.
Yeah, that
You know,
new
now,
exciting feeling. Yeah.
right.
I've heard some
When
people say that.
it's funny because I'm here. I'm at the bookstore. I'm at the bookstore last Tuesday. I mentioned this yesterday too. And here I am. I generally go to the library to find movies,
Hmm.
and then I'm sitting there, and they have the new book. They have the new hardbacks coming in. People donated them, or the library discarded them. And then I
Yeah.
saw the latest John Sanford book, and I got really excited because it's been a long time since I've seen a new book of his come out.
Yeah.
And I was like holy cow, you know. But I don't really get that feeling with Stephen King because it's like, if I miss this book, wait a couple of months, there'll be another one coming down the road,
Yeah.
right?
But, I think that's what's great about the indie horror scene, which is, what I work with, is that there are so many and everything is so different. There are so many different tropes you can pick from. I mean, it's always something new and exciting. I think it's just a different feel.
And some of the amateur writers, I mean, they're amazing.
Oh, they are.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't Charlene Harris get her start as an amateur writer, like a fan fiction?
Absolutely. And so many
Yeah,
of them are. Like, even look at Nick Roberts, what he's doing now. He's blowing up and he started off smaller. So,
I was I was
absolutely.
uh I was excited to hear that when I read that. Like, and I didn't, because I'm like, I don't know who Charlene Harris is. And then
Yeah.
after the Twilight books came out, then I was like, okay. And then I read that she had started out as a fan fiction writer, and I was like, it's funny how people love the book, but not so much the movie.
Oh, the movies were those years ago. I was like, you've got to be kidding me when those came out. But yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm sitting here. I'm just thinking to myself, here you are as an editor, and I'm thinking to myself, going like, I wonder if an editor who's edited one of those books, like Charlene's editor, I wonder if they've ever like watched the movies and go like, that's not what I edited. That's not what
That's
I put down in the
that's not all what I suggested. Yeah.
right. Um. So now, when you were growing up, what was your favorite genre? I mean, how did you get involved in reading? I mean, did you start out as horror, or did you go through the mystery section, or romance?
I kind of started with mystery when I was younger. I'm in my middle 40s. So when I was younger, they had the Alfred Hitchcock magazines you could get monthly. And
Oh,
let me tell you, every single time one of those came in the mail, I was reading
nice.
all of it. And I think, like, the mystery is what started it for me, the kind of creepiness, the unsettledness. Um, and then I want to say, like, around eighth grade, reading Frankenstein, Lord of the Flies, books like that other people were so bored with. And for me, it was like, wow, these are incredible, psychological, emotional, philosophical, political. And my dog is running around. I am so sorry.
That's right.
um,
We're animal friendly here.
okay, yeah, 120 pounds of I don't care about anyone's like time or personal space. So yeah. Um, and then from there, I think, college, I moved on over to fantasy. And then life
Oh,
happened, marriage, kids. I stopped reading for decades, you know? Um, and then I started back up with horror, and it just kind of from there went to extreme horror and splatterpunk, and that's where I've stayed. I
ah,
have found my home.
are you a big Ship Inspector fan? I take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You said splatterpunk, and they're the kings of splatterpunk.
Yeah.
Ship's Inspector. Oh, sheesh. Now those are names I haven't heard about in a long time. Are they
Mm.
still? Oh God, I should know this, right? Are they still with us? Are they still actively writing, or
You
I
know
guess I
what?
could
I
ask.
don't even know because I haven't.
I
You
don't
just
know.
sparked something inside me too.
Yeah, I'm like, holy, but those guys plus Clive Barker, man. That's what I would call the kings of splatterpunk.
Yeah, Clive Barker
Splatter, yeah,
is
splatter
perfection.
horror.
Yeah,
I really like now. I really like Clive Barker quite a bit. He's
yeah.
got some really good. He's got some creepy, very creepy stories.
Hmm.
Now, if they only have an editor for Hellraiser 2, uh, uh,
See what you did there.
we have a question for you already from the chat. So let me bring that up because I think it's a great question. And and here we go. And that is, how many letters uh do you get a day from writers seeking your services?
Um, it varies. I took the last 2 3 weeks off of editing the end of December. And I didn't really do much advertising. I was like, come January, I was like, I should probably put something out there that I have openings available. I did that, and like within the first week, I had five or six lined up. It varies. Um, some weeks it's nothing, but then the next week I'm gonna get something every few days or a couple a day. I stay very busy. I'm very grateful for that.
Um, so how do how? I mean, I'm trying to imagine myself like, how does this work? I mean, do they have to? I mean, who is basically hiring who? I mean, are they asking you, hey, is it one of these things where it's like, I like to hire you to edit my book, or is it more like we look at my book and possibly do some edits for me or help me out? I mean, do they know going into when they write you that like if you write me, you're gonna hire me because
Um, yeah, it's
mm,
mostly if you write me, you're hiring me. You know right then and there that you have a book coming out within a couple of months, or like for example, right now I have some that are, their book will be completed like around midsummer, late summer, and they want to publish later in the year. So when they write me, they have an idea in mind. Like they know that they need an editor. Um, I don't think that I've really like I've run into some people that want something immediately, like within a couple of weeks. But yeah, if you're writing me, you know that you need an editor, you need someone to look at it. Sometimes people aren't aware of, the exact type of editing that they need. They'll think that they need one thing, but I'll go through and look at it and have suggestions, and it ends up being something different. So you do run into that. But yeah, if you're emailing, So it's a cross between advertising, word of mouth, and um, writers just coming to me off my website.
I was gonna say if you're getting 5 or 6 letters a day, or hell, even the 5 or 6 letters a week, that
Yeah,
tells me that that's great word of mouth. People are recommending you, to like they've had a good experience with you and with how their book has turned out and how it's been received, and more importantly, how it's being sold, based on how well it's how well it's written. So
correct.
I just think that to me, that's just like I always feel like word of mouth is the best advertisement ever. I mean,
That's what I tell people.
you can spend money on it. I mean, you could do that. You go out there and spend money, but to me, to me, I look at as someone coming up there and saying, "Hey, I recommend Danielle if you want to." She edited my last 2 books, outstanding, got some of the best reviews of my writing career. I go with her. Her rates are reasonable. She'll work with you.
Yeah,
I think that's more important than putting, a couple $1,000 for a couple of weeks of advertisement on TikTok or Instagram. Um, would you agree with that, or or traditional advertising still carry more weight?
I agree, really. One, because that's personal experience someone's had with you. It's not just seeing your credentials or your reviews on a page. But two, I've yet to pay for any advertising. I've never paid, whether it be Facebook, TikTok, or anything. Even my website, I have not paid for advertisement within search engines to generate income or, people contacting me.
Yeah, I tell you one thing, that's really cool. I mean, it's cool
It
that you haven't do that. Yeah, I mean, word of mouth is everything. Like I said, I really think that's cool that you don't have to spend that kind of money, because there are people that do that. They go out there and they'll spend all that money to on their brand. Um, to me, I always think that term anyway. I don't like that term. That I'm gonna make my brand bigger. To me, a brand is this is a brand.
Right.
What you're doing is a creative. It's sharing creative energy, sharing ideas, um, you know, um, trying to get the best out of the person you're working with.
Hmm.
I think it's a labor of passion
Oh,
in my
absolutely.
opinion. Yeah, I think he walks up to me and says, "Well, I got a new book. I just want to see if it's in my brand." It's like, are you writing? What are you trying to do? Are you writing? Are you trying to write for Harlequin, or are you writing for yourself? I mean,
Right.
are you trying to get onto the mass market, or are you going to try to build a loyal following through good writing?
Yeah.
Um, so obviously, before you become an editor, you have to become a writer first. So tell us a little bit about your writing. When did you figure out that you wanted to write? Did you start young? Did you keep a diary?
I did. I did. I kept a diary. My papers in middle school, I was notorious for overwriting. Um, High school, same thing. Oh, you need a 9-page paper? I got you. I was the one kid who didn't have a problem with that. I went to college right out of high school. I double majored in philosophy and English. The plan back then was to take a sabbatical every, 7 to 10 years and write, you know. Um, Again, life happened. Oh, and then let me also go back to in 11th grade. I kind of sort of had to take summer school. And I had to take, of all things, an English summer school class. And
Really? This is for prepping for college?
no, it was simply because I was not the best at turning in homework and assignments and caused myself to fail. Now, if it was something I had to write or a report, it was easy. I did it. But if it was anything else, whatever, bygones. So, daily going in, our first assignment in the morning was we were given a prompt and we had to write something. And even that teacher went to my mother and said, "Hey, she's really good at this." Now I do write. I write short stories. I am not published yet. I should have my first published short story coming out later this summer. I can't give the date just yet. Um, but that's starting. But really, my passion is for editing. I like the behind the scenes aspect of it all. I think writing is fun for getting little spurts of ideas out, but I really don't know how to explain that I prefer the editing side of it. Hands down.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, that to me is sort of like an actor. In the film business, people work behind the camera.
Hmm.
Music. There's people that work behind the scenes. Not everybody wants to be in front, or in the public eye.
Right.
Um, so I'm one of those.
Same.
I'd much rather be in behind the scenes and and get to know the people. I'd rather talk to the people behind the scenes too. To me, it's
Hmm.
more fun seeing how they come up with their ideas and their creativity. I mean, I love people on stage, but the person who's putting, like, I put it this way: when I was working in music, um, people always talked about the bands,
Hmm.
and we always call them artists, and I remember telling my buddies this, they sort of got that wrong. It's just it's not the bands that are it's the artists, it's the bookers.
Yeah.
We're the painters. We're
Yeah.
painting them on our canvas and presenting them to you as a show.
Exactly.
And they're the paint, not the
Hmm.
finished product. Not the painter, they're the paint. So I get that. Um, so wow, that's just so unusual that someone so young would see that and wanted to become an editor. So
Yeah.
what books were you reading back then, and how did you know what, like, because by that time you're reading established authors. Did you find yourself like reading the book and going back and going like, man, I would have changed things, there's certain things I would have changed? Did you do that before you got into college, or was it after you went to college that started to come to you?
It was after I in college, my work study, I was a writing tutor. And I started that my freshman year of college. So I was helping who, in my younger mind, these are people who are so much older than me, so much more experience, but they're just seniors. But I was helping them edit their papers, whether it be research, grammatical errors, I mean, all of it. Um, Advice on if you had to do like something like a persuasion paper, I was helping with those arguments. And I think that's when I realized I really like this. I really like the behind the scenes thing.
Um, now, as far as you going to the college and you're studying English, was that important? Is that important? We always hear people as far as writers go, they're always taking English or writing or what have you. Is that the same thing for an editor? Is there like are there classes for like to become an editor, or is that just something that you gain through experience?
I think it's everything. Having a degree obviously is going to help. That education is there. Certifications, which is what I have, again, it helps. But experience helps too. There's only so much that you can kind of know in your head, but until you apply it to the real world, you need that experience. There are some people who don't have the background and have only just gotten their certifications, which don't take years, and they are phenomenal editors.
Right.
I was just lucky to kind of have a knack for it, have a little bit of a background in it, and I'm able to do this. But that doesn't mean it's the only way to go. It's so important that you don't give up. You have the eye for it, and again, it's much more than finding a missing period or something that's misspelled. It's really the bigger picture of everything. So if you have kind of that knack, go for it. Get your certifications. Um, Try it out.
I think people probably just think that's probably what all an editor really does, is to go through and check for grammatical errors. But it really is not. You can take their story. It's just like a movie. You go in there and you could take pages 94 to 120 and move them out of there and
Yeah,
move them to a deeper part of the book.
I've done that.
You can get in there and help shape the book up better and make it flow better. Um, as,
Mm-hmm.
as a whole, do I mean, are writers, do they pretty much agree with everything that you do, or is it more of an art of a compromise? Like, okay, because to me, I trust you to get me to the shelf.
Hmm.
That's what I'm hiring you for, to get
Hmm.
me to the shelf. And also improve me as a writer, because believe me, if I send you my original manuscript and you send me something back that's different, I'm not just gonna out of hand just go like, okay, this is what she suggested. I'll do this. I'll get the book on the shelf. what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make the notes that you did, the changes that you make. I'm going to sit there and read them over and over and over because you just made me a better writer.
Yeah.
More than just editing my words, you're helping me improve my craft. Um, that's an invaluable service. I don't think you can put a price on that.
That's really sweet of you. Yeah, that's, I can't even imagine from an author's perspective how hard it is to hand over something you have poured so much of yourself into, to one, be able to trust somebody else to do the right thing with it and edit it correctly, but then to trust their judgment and saying, I think you should change this. It's got to be hard. But that's the great thing about word of mouth too, is because once you start to build like a reputation of listening to your authors and respecting and encouraging and being with them every step of the way, making sure that they know that you are just there to help them, sharpen that voice is a phrase you'll hear a lot, then it becomes easier and easier.
Let me bounce over to the chat real quick because there people have come in and said hello.
Well,
Let's see if I'm saying this right. Mystique Massey is here saying best editor in town. And then I do believe this is Jillian. Jillian,
Jillian, she is
and
an
she,
editor and publisher herself.
she says hello, hello. And so people are, and yes, this is awesome. We just put down Danielle's website. It's right there to all the new people that come in or people come by after the replay. So you can go ahead to her website if you wish to hire her and her services. She has a broad range, and she's listed them on her website. So if there's something that you need, something that you feel like your book needs, your novel needs, your short story needs, you can reach out and talk to Danielle through her website. Now, I heard what you said earlier about you writing yourself.
Oh.
That pretty much answered my question before I even asked it. And that was how do you edit yourself?
It's okay. So when I started writing the little short stories, I'm like, oh, this would be perfect. I could edit it myself. I don't have to worry about hiring anyone else. Yeah, no. No, 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 no. Because you get so used to your own words. And it's funny because the same advice that I end up giving authors when they feel kind of silly that they've realized after I point out, hey, you use this phrase a lot, or you use this dialogue tag throughout the whole story, you need to change some dialogue tags. Or you forgot to do this, or bless with one that I'm recently doing, like some names were changed and she forgot to change the names to what they were what they're the updated names. There's things you don't realize that you're doing. That second set of eyes, invaluable, whether it be a beta reader or an editor or whoever. So yeah, my short story is not being edited by me. And if I go into it too many more times, I'm going to end up writing, a completely different story because I'm going to end up judging myself too much. Oh, you should do this. Don't do that. Do this. Don't do that. So yeah.
Is that the biggest flaw for a writer to overcome is overthinking?
Possibly, or maybe imposter syndrome.
Oh, they
Yeah.
write what somebody else is. Oh yeah,
Well,
that's
no.
is that is that a razor thin line between imposter and plagiarism?
Well, yeah, but I mean imposter syndrome as in they feel like they don't really belong. Their book isn't really good enough. They're not really a good enough writer. I would maybe a better way to say it is insecurity.
Okay.
Because I've read some incredible things and where the author has been like, wow, you really like that? I'm like, how could those words even come out of your mouth? How would someone not like this? We are our own worst enemies.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just as
Yeah.
guilty. So yeah.
So wow, that's wow. I mean, does that fall within your scope, editor scope, to sort of point that out to a writer that like that's one of the biggest flaws, the biggest potholes is imposter syndrome. Do you take them aside and sit there and say, listen, to me, the way I look at it is, if you wrote your story and you're taking the time to hire an editor to look at your story and to work with your story, doesn't that tell you that you're doing the right things? Everything you're doing exactly what anybody else who's on the shelf is doing as well. They're writing, they're passing it over to the editor, and then they sit and then they wait. They wait for the notes. If you're taking those steps, you belong. If you're sitting out there saying, I have a great idea for a book, but then don't do anything with it.
It's tragedy.
Yeah.
Such a
Yeah.
huge tragedy. But yeah, I feel personally that my job as an editor is to also help with that encouragement. It's definitely it's a partnership. I'm very fortunate for the authors that have trusted me. And I want to build that confidence within them.
Yeah. Because basically, let's put it, it's in your best interest. It's like,
Oh yeah.
I want them to succeed, because if they come out and they they do really well, and units get moved,
Yeah.
they're probably going to sit down and start writing another book, and that means they'll be coming back to me.
Oh, yep. And I've had that happen. So like I said, I'm very, very fortunate. Very fortunate.
Now, there's something I want to talk to you about. I mentioned, I mentioned this earlier about fan fiction. So, oh, man, I run across some fan fiction. It's one some of me just want to sit there and say, put the pen down, step away from the keyboard,
Yeah.
because there's some really horrible. Some of them even gets printed out. Some of them actually even get printed out by publishers. You're sitting there going like, did you really put this on the shelf? Did you really release this?
Yeah.
I know they're well, yeah, but it's a pretty popular property. It's a Friday the 13th, or a Harry Potter, or or Avalon, or oh, that's what I'm going to ask you about. Oh, I tell you, there's a couple of authors out there that, I don't care how good you are, you couldn't save them. You couldn't save them from themselves. That's for sure. Enrique is going to check out your website. Mystique. Am I saying that Mystique right? I think that's spelled. It's like X-Men. Okay, I love that. Mystique. That's a kick-ass name.
Yeah.
She is going to check out the website, and then Elizabeth says she's such a genuine soul.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
do you run across fan fiction? People actually sitting there going like, "Would you edit my fan fiction?" And or is that something you go like, "Yeah, I'm not really into that. I do only original works."
Yeah, I haven't had anyone come to me for that. I'm not sure how I would respond. I probably would be like, yeah, I'm just a little bit busy. Like, I just don't think I can fit you in. No, I haven't run into that yet.
I was good. As far as because everybody thinks that they're. I guess people sometimes they think that they're a writer, and so they'll sit there and they'll crank it out. And I've seen a few of those, unknown authors. I've seen a few of them. Wow, it is sort of painful. Have you just seen? How do you handle? Have you ever met anybody who's given you a manuscript, and there's nothing you could do with it? And how do you tell a writer like, wow, you have to go back to formula and bring it back up, and then we'll try it again. Have you ever had to tell a writer that?
Um, Absolutely. I have twice. Um, but I also, to me, it's more than the surface level of you need to go back and rewrite this because one, I'm proud of you for trying. You've done something that so many others have not done. Two, I feel you're more than capable. So let's just bring this to the next level. So you're not doing it in a way to be insulting. Um, because again, at the end of the day, they still did something that no one else has done. Whether it be a story about a picture that grows legs in the middle of the night and steals candy. It's still something, they put the words out there. I know every editor handles it differently, but that's just kind of my perspective on it. You still try to do something. Let's just kick it up a little bit of a notch, and go from there.
I was just thinking, as far as being an editor goes, like there's some people you think, wow, if I could only get to edit their books, and I'm thinking one author, I'm thinking, boy, I'm just glad she didn't have to. I'm glad you never had to tackle his books. Um,
It's hard. Everyone's different. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. That's for
oh
sure.
my God, have you ever read the Wheels of Time?
I have not read that. That is actually, I plan to purchase those. Yeah. Look at that face.
I tell you, I thought the worst thing I ever read from a mainstream author was Gary Gygax, and he's one of the guys that created Dungeons and Dragons.
Yep.
And I read his books, and I'm like, oh my God, my eyes. And then I ran across Robert Jordan and the Wheels of Time.
Hmm.
I made it through like a one book and a quarter of the next book before I said, I just can't. If I keep
Just,
going this way, I'm going to be looking for
yeah.
a cliff to jump off. Um, how is it that how is it that when editors work, do you think sometimes editors are intimidated by a writer's name or reputation because his books really needed
Yes.
an editor? Yeah.
Yes. I had a writer recently that when I was contacted, I thought it was a spam email. I was like, there's no way this person is asking me, of all people, to do this. And it turned out to be completely legitimate, and he's published his book. I actually, let me grab a picture of it right now. My lights are changing colors in my room, so it's hard to see. But it's one right here. And
Uh, let's see. Jillian wrote. She says she is absolutely so supportive of all of the authors in this community and puts her whole heart into it. Lily. Lily.
yeah.
Okay. I think I said Jillian. No. Okay. No. Lily.
Okay.
So
But yeah,
so he
I really try to.
So this writer wrote something. He was arrogant about his writing. He thought it was really good, and he wanted to put it
Oh,
out there. And
no. He was. Oh, I'm so sorry. I misunderstood. I thought you meant like it's just far as someone that was just a bigger writer that you weren't
oh,
really quite expecting to do something for. No, he was incredibly kind. I'm going to butcher his last name as well, but it's Kumar Siva Subra. I cannot say his last name, and I don't want to be insulting. I do
yay,
not want it to be
yay!
my turn.
I join
But
join the last name club.
right. So yeah,
Oh,
but yeah, no, I haven't. I try to also kind of vet who I work with and who I work for, so that I have been lucky so far to not really have that issue with working with someone who's arrogant and kind of rude.
I was gonna say writers. I mean, I may be way off here, but I think writer. I've actually really never really met a writer that's really arrogant. They've never been arrogant. I mean, even the more well-known ones, I've never run across them because it's such a subjective field. It's like so and so might like my book, but the person standing next to him might not.
Exactly.
And and so you might be sitting there, you might be able to go like, yeah, then in the next minute it's like, oh shit, you know. Um,
Yeah.
it's like I was gonna. So, do you run across that? Is that something that an editor needs to be careful? Now, I know a lot of writers are probably very self-protective about their work. Like, do we have to lose that character? Do we have to lose this action scene? They're possessive of it,
Yeah.
but I mean, are they stubborn about it? Like, it's got to stay. You got to work around that. Um,
Not that I've run into so far, but I think it's also in how you approach the writer.
mhm,
Um, it goes back to that trust. It goes back to that word of mouth. If I have someone that's referred to me by another author who has vouched for how much care I'm putting into it because I want the best for you, not the best book for me, the best book for you. It's easier. That's not to say I won't have that problem in the future, or that it's not a common problem with other editors. I just personally haven't yet.
right.
But it takes
Um,
building that relationship. It's a very, you have some editors out there that are just kind of hateful and rude about it, but I'm like, you are trusting me again to work on your baby. The last thing I'm going to do is be rude about it. I didn't write the book. I'm not that cool. You're the cool one.
yeah, I would hope that no editor, because I would hope that no editor would ever do that. I mean,
They're
that
they're
would be
you'd
sort of
be
discouraging,
surprised. Yeah.
because it's like you're there to help, you're there to support. Now,
Correct.
I'm supposed if if you're sitting out there and you're getting 100 amateur writers and they're all sending you, Robert Jordan level, stories. I could understand you want to take a break and run to, run away, but
Right.
I don't think you should ever take it out on the writer.
Correct.
Um, no.
Agreed.
Uh, Now I know amateur writers they're big. You go to Amazon, there's tons of writers out there.
Oh yeah.
Once in a while, I'll just go out there and I'll just scan it just to see what's out there. And it seems to me, I see a lot of writers out there that have not hired a editor, to their detriment. Um, is it hard? I mean, obviously we don't recommend it. We recommend, if you're a writer and you're hearing our voices, it's worth it to hire an editor, uh, like Danielle. Um, it's better to do that. It's better to do that than to not. I think what happens though, I think the reason why we see a lot of writers out there with poorly written, poorly structured works is because there are a lot of people out there who come by and give 5-star reviews and basically give the writer a false confidence. It's like,
Correct.
oh my gosh, I got a 5-star on my vampire story,
Yeah.
where that's because they're in your Facebook group and you guys
Yeah.
all talk among each other. I give it a 5 stars. You're not helping yourself by not hiring an editor and going off those reviews, because more often than not, someone's going to read that. And I've seen this, like, they'll someone has gotten I bought this based on off the 5-star reviews, and I cannot believe how horrible this is. This must have been her family must have been the ones putting the stars out there, because this
Yeah.
book here is so poorly written and so poorly structured. um is that a trend that you do see? A lot of authors, they will bypass a editor, um, and how much damage does that do to not only the writer who's doing that, but this in whole, to indie writers? How bad is it to get basically unwarranted praise?
Um, I think that's a question that has a very multifaceted answer. On one hand, you have the short-term thrill of the high of you put out a book and people like it. Two, I think it can give you false confidence. Three, you're going to end up coming across people that are going to pick up on your grammatical errors and your plot holes, your mistakes overall, and then those comments are going to start coming in.
Yeah.
And then it's going to feel really deflating because at this point you've been on this cloud nine, like, oh my gosh, I did so good. A lot of people, when you go to write a book, editing it's not exactly cheap. But I don't think a lot of, in particular, like indie authors understand just how much cheaper it is to hire an indie editor versus going on to a different website and paying thousands for it, Like my
Right.
rates are extremely, indie author friendly. I keep them very low, way below standard. A lot of people are intimidated about the whole process without even knowing they won't go hire an editor because they just assume that it's too much. Some people think, oh, I don't need it. I didn't catch any errors. Oh, it's hard, but yeah, it can be damaging. I've edited a few books for a very well-known author who does amazing work. All of her books are spot on perfect. But I edited her first, I think, 4 books for re-release because her problem was the editing, the misspellings and things like that, and the tenses and things like that. So it can be, no matter how great people like you, you're going to find that group of people that are going to start picking up on, what isn't correct about it.
Right.
It's important to have yes men in your corner for encouragement, but those yes
But
men
within
need to be
reason.
capable of like telling you, no, you need to change this. It's important. It's an important balance. And I think a lot of authors learn that the hard way.
Mm.
It's not even
So
something I would have thought about if not for being in the industry, and seeing it firsthand.
so let's go. I want to go through this with you. So let's just say that I am. I've written a book. I've written a book about the cheetah. Uh, and so it's 300 pages, and I'm going like, damn, this is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I give you I hire you and say, hey, I want you to edit my book. So I'm hoping for a release in the third quarter of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so what's the process after I send you my manuscript? I give you my manuscript. What do you do to it?
Well, before I start, I'm going to ask you what you're looking for. What stage that you think you're at? Do you need line
I'm looking for
and or
Hollywood.
copy editing? Do you need developmental editing? Do you just need a proofread? You know? So I'm going to figure that
Um,
out first. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm looking for Hollywood. I want this to be able to be adapted to a script.
So you want the whole package. So then what I ask people is like, hey, let me read the whole thing, because at that point in time, I also need to verify that what you're thinking you need is what you actually need. And that's just, I don't want to do you a disservice. If you send me a book thinking you just need a proofread and I'm seeing, oh God, you got all of this wrong, I'm going to speak up and say something because it's the right thing to do, right? Right? It's just the right thing to do. You don't need to be arrogant. You don't need to be hateful or rude about it, but it's like, hey, I kind of think you should do this, and have that conversation with the person. Um, and then from there, you edit the book. Like I go through at least 3 or 4 passes of a book. I offer a final proofread at the end.
How often does it take? How long does it take to go through it? Let's say a 300-page book.
It depends on my schedule. If I had absolutely nothing else to do. Now, do you mean just the initial pass through, or like passing through, fixing mistakes, bringing it back to me? Let's go through it again, find some more mistakes, because it's a very seesawing kind of relationship. The initial thing, if I don't have anything else planned, within 2 weeks, I can have the first pass to you.
Wow, that's fast.
Yeah.
That's
That's
really
one compliment
fast.
I've gotten, but you gotta understand, like, I'm disabled, I'm home, I'm bedbound, you know? So
Oh,
this is not
I didn't.
something I
Oh,
do.
okay.
Yeah, this is not something I do like in my spare time, after work or on the weekends. So if I don't have anything else going on, that initial pass through I can do within a couple of weeks. But
Wow.
if I have, other things on my workload, there's no way.
Wow. Yeah, that's 2 weeks. That's fast.
Hmm.
Yeah. But that's good though.
Yeah.
Um, so you go through it, you make your path through it, then you contact me and you sit there and say, okay, so here I did, do you get, is it, when someone hires you, are they hiring you in stages? I mean, is it just like, you want to hire me for a first pass and grammaticals? I can do that. You want me to hire me for 3 to 4 passes to get it ready for the shelf? Is it different steps, that people hire you for? I thought they just hired you for the whole thing. Like, I'm giving you the book for the shelf. And then, I'm like, of course, you'd like to sit there and say, hopefully, I'd like to be able to publish in 3 to 5 months.
So everyone is different. A developmental edit, that's where you're going to be catching your major plot holes and things like that. That's the easiest way to put that. Um, that's one service. Copy and line editing are two separate things, but I combine those together. I'm looking for the flow of your sentences, your structure, the words that you're using. Kind of like I mentioned earlier, if you're using a word too often or using the same dialogue tag, I'm going through at times and fact checking. I've done books that have different languages in them, and I can't just trust the author to get it right. I've got to go in as an editor and double check that. You know what I mean? Like, I have to double check and make sure those are the right words and the right spellings. Um,
So
a
basically,
proofread.
you're telling me I can't put best cat ever in every chapter.
I would let you do that just for
Okay.
pilot. And then there's the proofread. That's basically when you have everything done and there might be something small. Like, this is like really exactly what it says, and which is what a lot of people think an editor does. But really, a proofread is catching those final errors. Like, oh my gosh, do I need to, close up a space between a period and a quotation? Did they misspell a lot? Those little small details. Like, basically everything should be done before you have that final proofread.
Mm.
So yeah.
Um, yeah. So with you being a horror editor, wow, how hard is it to? Because I just got a really weird feeling that you read and edit a lot of books that sound the same. Like, I mean, we were talking about Twilight, and I like vampires, but Jesus Christ, I'm not so sure I could read or edited 10 vampire books in a row. How do you go through that? I mean, how do you get around that? Like, because you want to look at every book with, like, fresh energy, but then when you open it up there and it's like, oh, it's the sparkly vampires again. I mean, how do you keep your chin up and not get burned out by reading the same old? Or do you ask that from writers? Do you sit there and say, what's your subject about? What's your story about? Well, it's about these vampires. See,
Well, I do have
I'm
my
busy.
favorite tropes that I like to edit for. And I have been known to be like, hey, what's it about? Before I say I have availability. What's it about? How many words?
Uh-huh.
Um, but, and again, there's a black and white answer of, yeah, it can get kind of old in a way. But the other more true answer is that when you go in as an editor and you are analyzing this book, you aren't reading for enjoyment at that point in time. I'm not reading it to sit back and get lost in a story of revenge. I
Hmm.
am analyzing it. It takes hours upon hours upon hours of my time. So when you spend that much time analyzing something, you start to pick up on how unique the story actually is. Other than the surface level, like instead of getting kidnapped in the barn, they got kidnapped at a grocery store. You know, I think as a reader, maybe it's not as easy to pick up on those details sometimes. But as an editor, I see it immediately. I see the different terminology that's used for different kill scenes, all kinds of things. I don't know how to explain it really, but you pick up on the differences to where it doesn't seem so similar after all.
Now, I got a question for you too. I got a lot of questions, but one of the things we haven't mentioned yet, but we are, is how does AI play into this now? I mean, now AI is there. Are we seeing more and more writers go to AI and use that, and then come to you and sit there and say, "Hey, look what I wrote," even though in fact they really didn't.
I've personally, like, I know that exists.
Mm.
I've personally seen and heard more about the AI being used through your book covers and your promotional materials. Um, I'm not very good at picking up on AI material visually. It is something, admittedly, I need to learn more about. I personally don't support AI. If I know something is AI, I won't support it. Um,
But
for a
yeah,
lot of
well,
the reasons that are pretty well known.
right,
As far as writing, we all know it exists out there. It sucks. It really
yeah.
sucks. I don't want to be so passive as to say, well, there's nothing you can do about it, but at the same time, there isn't much that we can do about these authors that do that. Um,
They get spotted though. You can't. You're not going to be able to sit there and you can't hide it because you believe it or not, it'll be easy to expose basically by doing what we're doing here. If I sat down, if there was an AI writer and they're submitting their books, and they sat down for an interview, and I start asking specific things about that book, and they
yeah,
had trouble answering it,
yeah,
you know, like what was going through your mind, and they're like, well, yeah,
that's a good
I know
point.
what's going through your mind. You're going through your mind was finding AI.
Right, right, right. And a lot of people, to go back to the editing side of things and that aspect with AI is a lot of people will send their books through an AI detector to think that they're catching all those grammatical errors, and they're incorrect. It's AI, but it's still not correct. Like nothing can replace the human eye looking at it. Like a really common thing that I've seen people who have said that they're editing their book and they're getting ready to publish it, meaning they're self-editing. And I've read their book, and for example, like I said, the big thing that you see is like after a dialogue tag, it'll have the next word capitalized when it doesn't need to be capitalized for the dialogue
Mhm.
tag after a quotation. And it's like, I can tell right now, you know, um, that it wasn't done by a human eye.
Yeah, that's and self-editing. I don't know anybody that I don't recommend anybody doing that.
No,
I don't. Not even the not even the big cats do that. I mean,
no.
I mean, every major author you look at, the first person they're thinking is thank you to my editor.
Yeah. And some of them use different editors for different types of editing on their books.
Hmm.
It's incredible.
What kind of well, is that because of the subject matter? Because I would think that, if you would edit a Stephen King book a whole lot differently than if you did against Robert Jordan. I mean, Stephen
Right.
King, you'd be up and looking for that, the energy from the horror, and Robert Jordan, you'd be sleeping.
Right? It's why I don't want to edit pure fantasy. And I know there's a big market for it. I know that. But the idea of sitting through pure fantasy And if my daughter happens to be in chat right now, she's probably laughing because she loves fantasy. And she has been trying to get me to read this series. And I'm like, I can't even make it 3/4 of the way through the first book. And it's not
What
because it's
series?
badly written.
What
It's
series?
um 6 of Crows.
Don't know that one. Six of
Six of
Crows.
Crows. Six of
Oh,
Crows,
six.
and that's the first
Okay.
book. If she's in chat, she'll speak up. I don't know if she's still here, but she has her own family
I
and
know
stuff.
it's not. I
But
know it's not written by Robert Jordan because he's gone.
no,
So thank God for that. Uh,
right? But it's
well,
not even that it's a bad book. It's not even that it's boring. It's written beautifully. I just can't get into it. And so yeah, I definitely, that's the reason I put Splatterpunk in horror editor. So that people
yes.
know if you've got a bunch of fairies, you probably shouldn't come to me. Um,
Not unless you want to see him killed. I mean, if you want
right?
that,
But
yeah.
on the other serious side of that as well is that, I'm trying to slowly get into like horror erotica and maybe some dark romance because there is the violence and things like that, and it's more similar. But I couldn't do pure romance or pure fantasy because I don't know how to phrase this other than I'm used to what works for good horror books. I'm used to phrases, to ideas, to tropes, to all of it. And if you ask me for help with fantasy or writing a spicy scene, I'm not going to necessarily know because that's not my focus. It's not that I can't go in and fix any grammatical errors. Of course, easy enough. I'm an editor. But as far as giving you that detailed service that you deserve to really bring out and make that book shine just a little bit more, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Mm.
So I've actually turned a couple people to different editors for that when I'm contacted. And that's just to be
Um,
fair. I don't want to be selfish and just take it, you know?
sure. Now you mentioned dark erotica. I thought I thought erotica on any level was pretty much squeezed out of books these days. Because I mean, I've read a few novels, and before, like, there was, I think the one I can remember that did that, like Robert Parker, when he started out, his character Spencer, he used to be able to write some pretty nice romantic scenes. But by the end of it, it was all just innuendo. It was never anything graphic like it had been before, and it was really weird. And I started noticing that before, they would actually show, talk about a coupling scene, but not anymore. Is that because of how society is, or and publishing houses are like are sitting there going like, you could have a romance, but we don't want you, like Marilyn Chambers once said, only in America can you show a man stabbing a woman in the breast and get her R rating, but show the same man kissing the breast and it's an X rating.
Normal.
Um,
Yeah.
so are we seeing that? I mean, as far as erotica go, are we only seeing that now with self-published authors, or are we or because the main story, the main publishing houses aren't really doing it anymore?
I
Uh,
don't
it,
think so. I don't think so. I think like book talk girlies eat that stuff up. The spicier, the better. The very detailed, the better. The more morally gray the man is, the better. I don't read it, but I have friends that do. And
mhm.
no, it's huge. It's huge. I think it's making a bigger comeback. I think, societal changes with women being more confident and open with their sexuality and things like that. I think it's booming. I mean,
I
it's
tell you,
everywhere.
the writer. I know a lot of people. The writer I cut my teeth on, as far as like my mom used to read a lot. So when I was bored, I pick up one of her books, and one of the authors that I picked up that I was like I became a fan of because she could write spice. I tell you that right now. And it wasn't Danielle Steele.
I was going to
It
say, is
was
it Danielle Steele? Because I have my mom's
no, and
Danielle Steele book.
it wasn't Danielle Steele. It was Judith Krantz.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
smoking hot.
Oh, memories,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I'm
Remember
sitting there
all
going,
the Harlequin series books? Like, I mean, it
oh,
was
those are so,
just, oh, they were everywhere.
Yeah, but Harlequin never shows graphic. They always like, okay, and then they close the door, they close the bedroom door, and you know what happens next? And then the next
Wait.
chapter. Whereas
Right.
Judith Cranson's sitting there going, here, put the headsets on. We're doing play by play.
I actually have
So
a bunch of my mother's Danielle Steele books on my shelf out in my living room. She read
yeah,
for a lot.
uh, yeah, I met her son a couple of times before he passed away,
Mhm.
and went to a like a sort of like a tribute concert for him. She lost their son Nick to overdose, and
Yeah.
that was really sad. I was just so sad because here she is, she's writing about happy lives and families and
Yeah.
everything else. And it's just like, and her poor boy went right through the cracks.
Right.
That's tough.
Everybody.
But so tell me about some of your tell me about some of your favorite horror writers. I mean, what are the horror writers that we mentioned? We mentioned Stephen King, like of course, but who are some of your? Give me five of your favorite published authors. You know, like name authors, and then tell me five indie writers that you've run across that have gotten you like, holy cow! I can't wait for this to come out, and I'm so happy that I'm working on this.
I'd probably go with Ketchum first and foremost. I know a lot of people will say King. I'll go with King as well, but definitely Ketchum before King. Um, and with all the indie authors that I've been working with and reading over the past year or so, um, they really are trumping the other bigger authors that I grew up with. A really good one that's up and coming is Ryan Danley. I've done 2 books for him. His prose, his ideas, he's very diverse. Um, Oscar Brady, I love me some Oscar Brady. His vocabulary is impeccable. He knows that I love that. Um, DZ Hollow wrote a book called Cardiac. Really graphic, really awesome. There's just so many good ones. I don't even know because I feel like I'm not going to do everyone justice because I want to go down with every single person that I've worked with and be like, oh, but this one by this person and this one by that person. Um, I am a really big fan of Matthew Salinas. I actually have one of his books right next to me that I just finished that he just published called Real Television. Very political, very violent. I like the violent things. Um, so I don't even know where I could go on and we don't have time. There's so many, and I don't want to leave anyone out. And I feel like I'm leaving everyone out.
I'm just thinking to myself, is you're going like, I like the graphic, I like the violence. I'm going like, I wonder how she feels. Like, are you like that with the movies that you watch? I mean,
Yeah.
the gorier the better.
Yeah. I like graphic.
Like gory as in like like the human centipede gory.
The second one was amazing. The first one looked like Disneyland. The second one
Yeah, but
was
but you have to admit this is I say this all the time. But tell me if you agree with me on this. After watching the first human centipede, didn't it make Silence of the Lambs look like a
oh
kindergarten
yeah, it
tale?
did.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Like
I tell
are you
people that.
kidding
I
me?
tell people that. I sit there and it's like, man, I really hate the human centipede for one thing. What's that? Because it reduced, it made Hannibal Lecter look like a pediatrician. I
Right. And
mean,
now
Doctor Lecter,
um,
the doctor in Human Centipede. It's like, yeah, he made Hannibal look like a pediatrician. It's just like,
right.
in the movie, it's like, oh my God, Silence of the Lambs. It's like, yeah,
Oh, that's cute.
he saw somebody's mouth on somebody's ass.
You're
I didn't see
right.
Hannibal do that. I'll have with falafel bean.
You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. That's because you're cooking it. How about when you can't cook it? It's coming straight through the poop chute.
Have you seen the second one? Did you ever watch the second?
I am trying to find the second one. I have the first one.
Oh.
And in case you guys are wondering, we did cover the first movie. It's on my channel. If you go on
Okay.
my channel, the playlist, It's called
Okay.
ISC Midnights, and we talked about the Human Centipede. It was the first damn show. It's the first damn movie we covered with the Human Centipede. But I'm still looking for part two. I'll find it.
It's part two is nothing like the first one. I think it was banned in some countries because it looks like snuff. Like it's crazy. And the third one was just stupid. But yeah, anyway, yeah, check it out.
And of course, I think one I do believe it did come from a book. And with the one movie I watched, I actually thought that I would be like repulsed by it, but I wasn't. I was entranced. I was like, this is, and I'm sitting here. What a lot of sometimes I'll think about the movie, and I'm always wondering like, what the hell did she say? And that's the Martyrs.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That ending without spoiling it for people. Now, are you talking about the original or the remake?
Oh yeah. So no, not
The original.
no American remakes allowed.
Okay,
No,
yeah.
yeah, no.
That ending when she was just looking up and staring was yeah. Yeah. There's other movies that are really interesting too, like Irreversible and things like that. I think I really like.
How did you feel watching that as a woman?
I'm not it's I have a lot of trauma in my life that started from the time that I was born, literally. And so I think that I have just blocked out. It was hard. It was hard, but it was easier than you would think. I know not all women handle their trauma the same way. For me, I can disassociate. And I think that's why I can read and watch, the things that I do. Um, but I also have such an analytical mind that I'm also looking at, I wonder how they did this scene. Because that's something else that I'm really interested in. I'll watch behind the scenes on different movies that are made, 13 Ghosts, like anything, just to see. But it is hard, but I think it's something that exists out there and we women are very familiar with it. And there are certain scenes that I cannot watch in certain movies, like I Spit on Your Grave,
Yeah.
Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, things like that. There are certain things that I cannot watch because they're too long and too vivid, and that's too triggering. But otherwise, yeah, I think it's just my horror brain is just wired differently.
Our friend, as this mention came through, is that when are you going to cover Superman 4 Quest for Peace? We already did that. We did that. It's Clash of the Titans. That's also a playlist of mine. If you go in the playlist and go Clash of the Titans, just click on that and you'll see Superman 4. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, talk about a horror movie. Yeah, there's some movies I have yet to see. I have yet to see a Serbian film, which I really have no interest in seeing at all. I really don't. I mean, there's certain movies I just, Solo. No thanks. I mean,
Hmm.
I Spit on Your Grave. I saw I Spit on Your Grave when I was 21 and full of vinegar. Young horror
Hmm.
fan watching everything horror. And I saw that and going like, well, it's good to know there's a line that I just won't cross, and I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still have Irreversible, but I have not watched it yet. I just have not worked my way up to it. I just there are certain movies that movies with a terminal illness, like cancer.
Hmm.
I have a really hard time with that. But the Human Centipede, let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, I definitely I prefer slashers and things like that. I have to be in a specific mood and or there are things that I have watched many years ago, such as a Serbian film, when you're going through that like wow, I want to see what it's all about. Now granted I saw the edited version of the Serbian film, so it wasn't quite as
Right.
whatever. But yeah, there's certain things that I just won't. Like if I know something has a very long, assault scene and something like that, I won't touch it. I think it's a trope that's used so often. Um, Maybe because it's easy to do, maybe because it's relatable and it's real and it happens. But the damsel in distress type thing, I don't know. I think there are just, different ways we can do it without it being glorified scenes that last as long as they do in movies.
Yeah,
If you follow
I'm
me,
with
you know
you
what I mean?
about that. I'm with you on that. I mean, that's one of the
Mm-hmm.
reasons why, and it always frustrates me too. I'll tell you what frustrates me is that they can have a scene like a 10-minute scene, like Irreversible or or Serbian Film, or I look at the the first time I saw I Spit on Your Grave, that initial assault, it seemed like I think it was like 45 minutes, 35,
Mm-hmm.
45 minutes. It seemed to go on forever and
Mm-hmm.
ever and ever, and it's just like, oh. And then it really pissed me off was the fact that her revenge was only like 10 minutes.
Yep.
It's like, you know what? I don't want that. I don't want 10 minutes. I want the same 45 minutes that she had to go through. I want to see those guys go through the same thing for 45 minutes. I think for me, if they had shown that, if they had shown her getting her revenge for 45 minutes, I had no trouble watching that movie today.
Yeah.
But
And
I can't I
that's,
can't I can't watch it today because I'm sitting there going like, "That's so not right." Having to go through and Lord love Camille Keaton. I mean, she talks about the movie. She is Teflon. She's a wonderful actress.
mm-hmm.
Because that would be my first question I would ask her is like, how do you feel seeing yourself on screen for 45 minutes versus only 10 minutes for you to get your revenge? Um,
Yeah.
and she wasn't and she I've heard her do interviews. She says she was not traumatized per se, but it did take her a little bit to get it past to get her past that.
Yeah.
And I think what really bothered me after that was the fact that she had a hard time getting work.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't ever hear anybody talk about
You're
Camille
right.
Keaton when it comes down to screen queens.
Yeah.
We talk about Nev Campbell. Oh, she had a battle Ghostface.
Mm-hmm.
You think that's awesome? You think that's terrible? Hold my beer. Let me go.
Yeah.
Let me go, let's pony up Irreversible. Pony up. I Spit on Your Grave. Now,
Yeah.
now, now, talk to me about Jimmy Lee Curtis and Nev Campbell. I mean, it's sort of like Human Centipede with the Silence of the Lambs. It's like you got what you think is violent, and then you got what you know is violent, and that
Yeah.
really is a big difference. Um, Now, I asked you this question because I was fascinated by it, and we can go a little bit more into depth with it. What fascinated me when you and I first started talking, and you mentioned that you asked me if you being Muslim was a problem, and I'm like, for
Um,
who? Not for me.
yeah.
Not for me. But my thing is like, how do you as a Muslim, and you do horror editing and horror stories,
Mhm.
how does that mix with being a Muslim? Because here, and as you know, here in America, it's though damn well, damn well, Danielle, that you got all these self-righteous people standing up there going like, "Oh, down with Scream or down with Halloween," but you go down to their basement and they got the whole movie room built to Michael Myers, right? Um,
Yeah.
Yeah. So how does that work? Um, does that come into play at all? I mean, do people when they find out when you talk to them that you're a Muslim, are they do they hesitate before they giving you your script, or do they have more confidence in saying, "Wow, if she can handle this and she's a Muslim, then I must be I'm doing the right thing. I'm on the right track." I'm
The only way that it's really kind of come up for me is the verification that, um, are you sure you can do this? And people don't really seem to fully believe me when I say I don't have triggers. I really don't. When I'm reading, I don't have triggers at all. Um, so that has come up. It has come up with, are you okay reading this in general? To where I have to, again, reassure that it's okay. In other ways, it's been good because I try to promote that I'm really inclusive of all communities, and it helps to show being inclusive that I'm one of those communities, you know? Um, so far, I haven't had much negative feedback at all in regards to being Muslim in the horror community. I still get worried about it because I'm used to the outside world and reactions to me. But I have to give credit where credit is due, and the horror community has been more, despite any problems that exist within the community as a whole, has been the most accepting community and not caring that I wear a headscarf. It's a wonderful feeling.
Um, yeah, I thought it was fascinating. I was still curious
Mhm.
because I think it's great. I mean, and we talked a little bit about horror films. They're slowly making their way to the Middle East. We're starting to see,
Mhm.
I think She Who Walks by Night or In the Night. It's a vampire story from Iran. Toby Hooper's last film was Jinn, and I believe that was set in either Egypt or maybe Saudi Arabia, one of the two. Um, and I'm sure if I went into a little bit more there, I could find more
Yeah.
horror. I know, and book wise, I know there's Middle East horror. There's a ton of it.
Oh yeah.
Um, you could even, I guess you could even include like a movie franchise like The Mummy, that was
Yeah.
set in Egypt, and so you could, the original Mummy. I think the distance, or the gap between horror and religion, I do believe it has shrank throughout the years.
Yeah, and there's things that I'll read and enjoy, you know, writing or reading about, but it doesn't mean I'm applying that to my everyday life. I'm not going out here killing and torturing predators. I'm sitting at home in my room with my little flowered Kindle. um, and another great thing is, it's getting a little bit more inclusive over time. Slowly, I am ecstatic to be working with a pitch black dark romance author that needed a sensitivity reader because her story is very violent dark romance with female Muslim characters. Obviously, I think the setting is in Afghanistan at this point in time. She hasn't decided for sure, but the first, four chapters that I've been through helping with are very much indicative of it. It's going to end up being Afghanistan. That's a really bold thing, and I do appreciate her being able to reach out and have a Muslim, because we exist, to have a sensitivity reader for what she's writing.
Now, is a sensitivity reader the same thing as a beta reader? And how do you become a better, or do you have a better reader at your, to help you? Like, okay, I want you, I'm gonna make my first pass of the book or the second pass of the book. Do you then give it to a beta reader to have them read it and see if there's anything you may have missed, or their suggestions?
I think it's a lot of getting to know people in your community and being a voice or a name that they see often enough and building those relationships. I had someone reach out to me yesterday morning about beta reading a book. I am on a few beta teams. I'm also on a few ARC teams. So a beta read is when you're kind of going in for those developmental things, and then an ARC reader is like one step further before you send it over to your editor to be, completed that way and then published. Um, I think it was four people I asked to read my short story. So I utilized the same thing. And then one thing that was pointed out to me, I was like, oh, wow, you're absolutely right. Why didn't I think about that? And it's something I have to go back in now and change. I think beta readers are so important.
I think that's cool that you read your book, you read your book as a reader and not necessarily as a editor. Uh, can you
Yeah.
read for pleasure? Can you read for pleasure without editing a book? Can you, it's like I asked that for directors too. Like, can you watch a movie now, and enjoy it for what it is, or do you find yourself picking it apart as you watch it? Like, what would you have done differently?
So I'm also a little bit different when it comes to me judging books and looking at books and reading them. I will find something good in all of them because, again, at least you did something. At least you put something out there. It was a different twist. The one thing that I can't seem to look away from, though, is anything grammatical. If it's wrong
Oh, right,
grammatically, it's
right.
like I find myself stopping the sentence, rereading it, and then I'll get stuck in a little loop looking at it a few times, like, oh, that's so incorrect. Why did you do that? Before I can move on. But the story overall, developmentally, I never do that. Thank goodness, because I love to read and I don't ever want that ability, that enjoyment to be taken from me. But yeah, those little small things, I'm one of those people now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I mean, there's some movies I'll sit there and I'll watch the movies, and I'll see a plot hole come out, and I'm just like I'm out of it. I'm just gone. It's like
Yeah.
it takes me right out of the movie. It's like it's a plot hole. If it's big enough for me to notice it, it just takes me out of the whole movie. I'm just like, or in the case of another really well known horror movie, um, a movie called Hostel. I'm sitting there watching it. I remember the first time I watched it, and I'm into the movie. Has basically a bunch of no names. And Eli Roth directed it, and then here comes Rick Hoffman come through, and I know that guy, and he's been in a lot of movies, and he's always had a really weird character. But as soon as he popped up in the movie, it took me right out of it because
Right.
I'm like not this guy.
Anybody but him. Like,
Uh,
why?
uh, but he ended up doing a show called Suits, and he blew up. He's really well known actor now, and I'm really happy for him. Um,
Yeah.
so what's next for you in 2026? As your year goes on, um, how many books currently are you? How many books can you currently handle as far as editing goes before it's too many and you have to turn away clients?
Um, that's hard to answer because it depends on what they're asking for and how long the book is.
Right.
So that always varies. Right now I have one opening for April. I may have one for May. And then I'm scheduling for July on forward currently.
Okay.
And I am holding slots open as well because I have a couple books that are coming that are over 50,000 words. So,
Wow.
you know, once I'm scheduled for something like that, I'm not going to add something else to take away from the attention from someone who's already hired me. Other than that, staying busy with that. I do hope to have, like I said, a few short stories published this year. I'm not interested in doing anything longer. I don't want to take my focus away from editing.
Right.
But it would be fun just to put a couple little stories out there, just for the fun of it, just to do it, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Put it out in an anthology or something.
yeah, yeah. That my short story that's going to be in an anthology later this summer. So yeah.
All right, we have hit our mark. Uh, 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 yeah, this has been fun.
Well, thank you for
Uh,
having me.
oh, no problem. Hi, New York gal. How are you? Glad you're here. We're ending it, but of course, I know to hit the replay. Anybody else who came in a little late, we also have a replay as well as Danielle's website. If you want to go check out her website, please do so.
Thank
Links are
you.
down and listed down below. Yeah, this has been great. Thank you so much. I want to thank the chat for coming out there and hanging out with us tonight. This is capping a really fun week for me.
Good.
I had a lot of fun this week. I want to thank you guys for coming out and supporting the show. We do have one show. We have one show on the books for next Tuesday, St. Patrick's Day. Our friend Cindy Diamo will be here with us. She is a PR person, a publicist, and
Oh,
so we're going to talk
fun.
about publicity, which is always an important thing. You got your editing, now you got to publicize it. So we'll be talking to Cindy. Cindy's she's a great. She handles bands. She handles actors. She handles all sorts of people and getting them out there. And so we'll be talking to her next Tuesday, and hopefully by then we'll have a firm date. and we're going to come back with the Gross Brothers, Tim and Tom. And it's that time for us to talk a little bit about Gross Fest, which is coming up here in July. And we're having them come on in and hang out with us and tell us about what's coming up on this year's edition. I already know that. I already know for sure one guest. We know that. And hopefully we can get that guest to come join us for that interview. But I don't want to jinx it, so I'm not going to name it until it happens. All right, boys and girls, that is it for us. Thanks so much. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. That really helps out the channel a lot. Hit the like button, drop a comment down below, and share us out. Danielle, stay right where you're at just for a minute. I'm going to turn around and say goodnight to the chat, and we'll see you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you on. Actually, we'll see you on. We'll see you Sunday at 6 p.m. for RetroTube. Have a great night, everybody. Peace.